Welcome to Bleav in Chargers with the great Lorenzo Neal, the All-Pro, the All-Decade, the legend that was celebrated at SoFi Stadium a few weeks back, and someone that's got to be awfully excited about the brand of football that we are seeing these Chargers play. Halfway point, 5-3 on pace for an 11-6 or a 10-7 season. So very exciting as we get ready for the Titans to come to town, see if the Chargers can make it 3 in a row. And Lo, I'll tell you, damn near had back-to-back games that they did not allow a touchdown. I'm almost willing to write that one off in the final 40 seconds. But, man, as much as we want to talk about Justin Herbert and how well he's playing, how about this defense and what Jesse Minter is doing with a pair of rookie fifth-round corners out there on the island, and yet he is still cooking as that DC.
Hey, Jesse Minter needs to get an attaboy and let's just go ahead and, hey, the teams are going to come knocking at that door. When you're playing this type of defense, Money, you and I said this 4 weeks ago. I said if the Chargers would score 21 points in this year, what would their record be? They would be now undefeated. They would not have lost a game if this team just got to 21. That's why I was very optimistic about this team, because you think about who they have at the trigger point, and that's Herbert at the quarterback position. But the way that Minter has this defense playing, elite defense, holding teams to under 17, 20, under 21. When you're playing that type of defense, that's championship type football. If you score 24 points in January, in December, January, and February, you're in the Super Bowl. That's how the defense is at a Super Bowl caliber defense. It's not a defense. And once this offense continues to roll and do what they're doing, you're going to be cooking on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's at 12.6 now after that one. And again, they were up 27-3 with 40 seconds left, and essentially just trying to make sure guys weren't getting hurt. They certainly wanted to, I would imagine, keep that touchdown off the board, but at the same time, whatever. It's right. The game is no longer in the balance. And I think, to me, the quintessential run that, or the series that encapsulates kind of what he does was, Chargers offense stalls a little bit. And so there's two things. One, the Browns had the ball for 11 minutes in the third quarter. The Chargers had 1 first down that entire quarter on their 3 possessions. 0 points. 0 points. And they opened, and the other part is they opened that half with the ball, driving downfield, making plays, finding some soft spots in that zone, and then all of a sudden, bang, interception. And that's the thing. When people ask me about this defense, what's the difference? And I just said, I always say, and I'd love for you to expand on it because you know it a heck of a lot better than I do, but I said they create so much mental conflict in a quarterback's decision-making that you just see that interception, and Jameis had seen the look, thought he knew what was coming. He's like, oh, the corner's going to cheat into the flat. Now I can throw to the corner. No, he's not cheating. He's baiting. He's baited you to think that he's going. And that's a rookie 5th-round pick, Tarheeb Still. And as soon as he cocks that arm, bang, he's floating back. He gets his finger on it. Elijah Molden intercepts it. Drive nullified. Air out of the balloon. And here we go. And it's just so wild to watch.
It is.
How good he is at doing it.
Oh, yeah, it's attention to detail. When I watch this defense, when you watch the way they played, Money, it's just the consistency on that side of the ball. Yeah, they'll give up a play here and now and then, but they bend, but they don't break. Even when you saw them play against the Kansas City Chiefs and you watch this team play this year, they play complementary football on defense. Hey, if the pass rush not there, the corners, they'll get a hand up and tip a ball down. Defensive line, if they're not getting sacks, they're tipping up a ball and having an opportunity. They're playing well on each level. Up front, they're putting the push. They're pushing the new line, creating a new line of scrimmage. Have the quarterback not feeling comfortable in the pocket. Secondary, second level, they're doing a great job at the linebacker position, dropping into their zone, taking away some of those windows, making the teams gamble. So when you watch this defense, the good thing about it, it bends, but it doesn't break. They don't allow they don't often allow that 80-yard touchdown, that 50-yard touchdown. So they give up 10, they'll give up a 4, they'll give up 3. And now what happens, it's hard for an offense to keep sustaining drives and continue to move the chains. That's what they do. It's an optimistic defense that says, we're going to make you take the long haul. We're going to make you go back, line up, get 3 more, line up, get 2 more. And they're saying, hey, look, if we do that, and if we stay true to what we do on defense, you're going to make a mistake. You're not going to drive the ball 90 yards. You might get a field goal, but you're not going to score because of the fact we're going to make you play for the whole game, but we're going to make you earn the drives. And that's what they're doing well on defense. Besides getting in quarterback space, besides getting the sacks, they are making offenses drive the length of the field, and that hurts. And that's tough for an offense to do.
Yeah, I think for me, it's, my 8th year since they moved here in 2017. It's the most disciplined defense I've seen yet. And that's like when I kind of describe it, the Gus Bradley defenses were bend, don't break. They were top 10 in points allowed. They were bottom 5 in yards allowed. And they were just really good in the red zone. And they would limit you to field. But every now and then, you would have a missed tackle, and you would have a blown assignment, and you would have a miscommunication. Like, the thing with this defense is there's none of that. Like, they're number 1 in points allowed. They're number 8 in yards allowed. Like, this defense, they don't miss tackles. Their form tackles are sensational. They communicate. They all mind their assignment. Like, I can't tell you how many times last year I would watch at that linebacking level, and guys are just pointing like, you're supposed to be there, and you're supposed to, and they're spinning around, and there's guys wide open in the middle of the field, and it's just blown assignment after blown assignment. There is none of that. Like, when a guy is getting double teamed on the line, Khalil's getting double teamed on the edge, bang, Morgan Fox sack. They're double teaming Puna in the middle, bang, here comes Thule. Here's your pressure, running you right into somebody else. Like, they play so well together. The communication is so spot on. And I think every single year previously, you'd look, and who's leading the team in tackles? Derwin James, Alohi Gilman. It's Jaleel Adai. Like, you look now, you said it, man. It's Daiyan by 20. Daiyan is everywhere. It's tackles for loss. It's tackles at the line of scrimmage. And then who's second? Denzel Perryman. Linebacker level, man. Like, there are no missed assignments.
Yeah, I played with 2 guys in Baltimore one year, in friggin' Ray Lewis and friggin' number 57. Those 2 guys, Ray Lewis 52 and Bart Scott.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys, because you had Nodi that was so good at holding the guard in the center and letting Ray run free. Ray Lewis became that type of linebacker because he had a great guy up front. Zach Thomas. You remember with Zach Thomas, that little guy of the Miami Dolphins, how many tackles he'd be all over the field. He had a big guy in the middle that was able to keep guys off of him. When you're playing linebacker, you think about Patrick Willis and Bar Bowman. When those guys were making those tackles, it's about guys keeping you free. Look in San Diego when we had friggin' Big Jamal and Cooper and Donnie Edwards always able to make those tackles. Because if you have a nose guard, a guy at that 3 technique, you had Igor and those guys that said, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to stay technique sound. I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure my linebackers are going to be able to make the tackles that necessarily. That's what you want. You don't want your safeties leading the team in tackles. You don't want your cornerbacks leading the team in tackles. You want those linebackers. That means those guys are staying clean. The defensive line is doing their job of letting your linebackers play free, and that's what you're seeing right now with the Chargers football. They're playing great football up front in the trenches as well.
Yeah, I'm glad. I love that you brought up those 2 as well. Just Ray Lewis and Patrick Willis. And I think, look, their physical talent and their football ability, of course, unsurpassed, just the best linebackers of their era. But they were also leaders. They were extensions of the coach. They were tone setters. They were communicators. And I think so many, like, I saw someone write that Derwin James was having a down year. And I'm like, I get that there's, he dropped an interception. I wish he would have had it. I would love for him to have had that interception this week. But I said, you're not watching Charger games. You're looking at box scores because you're not watching. He is the extension of Jesse Minter and Jim Harbaugh on the field. He's the one that's carrying. We talked about it. What did Derwin say in that presser when he was asked about the rookies? He's like, hey, man, look out for my guy Heeb.
Right.
My boy Tarheeb, he's a baller. You watch. He takes him under his wing, and you got Tarheeb with one and a half interceptions, as coach said, because he got his hand on it, and that's how Elijah got it. He got a form tackle. We talked about it against the Saints where he just squared up. I can't remember who it was, but just Kamara squares up Kamara, drops him. That's a guy who was picked in the 5th round that is making his 3rd start of his career playing outside corner when he was drafted to play slot, to play nickel. And like that's That's what having a Derwin James does. Is it you have the straw that stirs the drink, and everybody has a North Star that they follow. And to me, it's so important on a defense because so we were talking at halftime. Denzel Ward's one of the best corners in the league, right? Leads the league in passes defense, 2 blown assignments. And we were talking to someone from the Browns at half, and he's like, yeah, they just, they don't use hand signals. It's all verbal communication. And sometimes it gets lost. And it's like, there it is. Like, that's what we're talking about.
Attention to detail. And you talk about, you're watching, everyone's talking about Derwin's having a down year. You think about when Rodney was at the Patriots. It wasn't like he would lead the tackles. He was a leader on the Chargers, but when he got to the Patriots, he had other guys around him. He still would make those big, impactful plays, and that's Derwin. This is because he's not leading the team and being the guy that's always there, because you got other guys around him and doing your job. You don't want your safety, like I talked about Brian Dawkins when they were at Philly and what they brought to the table. It wasn't like Ronnie Lott leading the team, but when they have those big impactful plays, those
splash plays,
setters, those game changers, and he's still that leader and still plays with that bravado.
Yeah, and I think, to talk, the trade deadline came and went. We're doing this on a Wednesday. It was yesterday, and we talked about, who are they going to get? They're going to get a wide receiver. They're going to get a corner. Could they get a tight end? So to me, like the way that Cam Hart and Tarheeb still have played these last 2 weeks, it's why they don't make a trade. It's like, well, why are we taking these guys off the field, man? We're just getting rolling. These guys are just getting started, and every rep they get is going to be another rep that's going to make them better. So, we've used the phrase many times, Lo, and you know it because you know the man, but, development inhibitors. Like, you don't want to bring a vet just because he's played 4 or 5 years when he's not going to be as good as someone that you are developing and has shown that they deserve to be on the field. So that to me is why there were rumors that they were in on Marshawn Lattimore, but it's like, all right, do I really want to give up a 3, a 4, and a 5 and a 6 or whatever it was? I think it was a 3, a 4, and a 5, or maybe a 3, a 4, and a 6. Like, yeah, it's good, but he's got a hammy, and I got Asante coming back, and we got Christian Fulton coming back, and now I got depth with my young guys. Like, we're good. We're good. Let's keep the draft capital, man. Let's keep it. And I think the same goes for the wide receivers. Like, Ladd, look at what Ladd has done. Ladd is turning into the guy. He is turning into the guy. And like I said, I think if there was a legitimate number 1, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, if one of those guys is available, then yes. But to go get a Mike Williams, to get a Jonathan Mingo, to get some of these guys that were moving, it just didn't. Again, take the rookie, take the second-year guy. Quentin is 400% better than he was last year.
He really is. And that's a guy that you've been in his corner, money. I mean, this is a guy that, coaches talk about, hey, the confidence in the hand, body catching early at camp, having some drops. And here's a guy that you always talked about his upside. Hey, this Quentin, you talk about his speed and what he could do. And here he is now rounding into form, starting to understand the nuances of football and getting comfortable in his skin and getting comfortable in his being a football player. And sometimes it takes guys to adjust because of the fact they're trying so hard to be that guy, trying so hard to show, hey, I can do this. And, Baltimore said that they was going to draft this guy early if the Chargers didn't pass on him. So here's a guy that we know that has potential. Now he's starting to live up to it. And sometimes guys just take a year or two to get informed, to understand what they're doing and understanding football, because sometimes you're just out there reacting, you're just playing and you're like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm doing. And so then now you're starting to deal with those demons, those other things you're doing. Okay, I got to catch the ball. I got to put my hand in the right spot. Okay, am I running the right route? Okay, is this guy playing press? Is he blitzing? So they're thinking while they're playing. And football is not a game. It's not a thinking man's game. You got to know your responsibility and be able to play freely. And I think you're starting to see that at a Quentin.
Yeah, and BetOnline sees it because they're the world's most trusted betting platform and the number 1 source for online betting, the earliest odds, and there is in-game live betting. BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. It's the largest selection of odds on everything: football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, all the MMA. They have it. Get over to BetOnline today and get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline. The game starts here. And I think in the case, this again is a tribute, and I've told this story multiple times now because it's already Wednesday and it happened on Sunday, but Sanjay Lal has done such an incredible job, wide receivers coach, with these wide receivers. And Herbert's best throw might have been an incompletion in that game, that back shoulder that he threw to Quentin away from the defender. And as soon as that play was done, like, this is leadership, right? There's no hand wringing. There's no, you got to make, no, they immediately come together, and it's happening right in front of us, because it's right in front of where our booth is. And it's Josh Palmer, the vet, and it's Quentin, and it's Justin Herbert, and it's Sanjay Lal. And I can read their lips and I can see what he's saying. And Herbert's basically telling him, when that's the leverage, I'm never going to throw you. He's doing this. He's like, I'm never going to throw you into the leverage. I'm not going to put you in that position and get you hurt, man. I'm always going to throw out. So just know that when that's the leverage you're looking at, and that's the position of the corner and their safety help on top, I'm not going to hurt you. I got you. I'm the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, and I can put this thing on the head of a pin, and I'm going to throw it. And so it was that learning moment for Quentin, but that's what Herbert does. He does not put his guys into there's a lot of conversation about hospital balls out there right now, and some guys throwing their dudes into trouble, and Herbert doesn't do it, man. He is so good at protecting his guys, even against the Saints when he's fighting off a safety, and he's stiff arming a 290-pound defensive lineman and going down. He still is throwing outside Josh Palmer's shoulder to try to complete that pass, so he doesn't throw him right into the guy and get him hurt, even though he's trying to prevent a safety.
And that's what guys say. I'm going to throw you open. If you're covered, I'm going to throw you open. Okay, the guy's playing you inside, I'm going to throw it outside. If you're playing outside, I'm going to throw it inside. I'm going to find that window, and I'm going to throw you open. And that's what he's trying to let guys know. Hey, let's be on the same page. This is what I'm thinking, and that's when you're talking about that teaching moment. Come to the sideline and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to throw you into that harm's way. I'm going to put it outside. So now you can, once you look inside, as a player, you look inside, okay, here's a safety coming down. Now, okay, I know I'm going to look to my back shoulder. So now your body movement, it's easy. It's more fluid because of the fact you're not thinking, okay, here he's going to put it here. And now you're trying to make a quick jerky reaction. And that's what he wants. He's trying to say, look, if we're on the same page and you understand what I'm thinking, and I know what you're saying, alignment and assignment and reading it out. When you're running your route, you see safety coming down, playing buzz. He's coming in. Know that I'm going to throw that outside. I'm not going to run you into a headache where you be sipping straw through a soup, sipping soup through a straw. Yeah. I'm not going to do that. And that's just the maturity where Herbert's at now to help these receivers continue to get better. And that's what I think that you saw Sunday. On the road, a tough game, especially with a new quarterback in. James, God is good. And you're thinking you're going to get this guy. And it's just like, but you were going to a hostile environment. Cleveland just had a boost coming off an emotional win, and you find a way. I'm watching the Chargers play with joy. You see in the offense, you sit to watch Herbert now. Yeah. You just see it's a different, that offense was like, okay, they stalled in the third. I get it. But you're just starting to see it's okay, here we go. Here's the train that thought I could. I think they're chugging along. And now you're starting to say, okay, they're starting to get their rhythm. They're starting to hit their stride. And if this offense can hit its stride and its special teams continue to develop, like you said, you got the Dicker, one of the best kickers in the league. If you continue to do that, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Yeah. And look, I think it's a product of both Justin Herbert, like it's another new offense, right? 4th and 5 years for Justin Herbert. It's a new quarterback for Greg Roman, a guy that, has worked with Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith and Lamar Jackson. And now he's got this titan of pardon the pun, because they're coming to town, of a human being that can do things that those guys just simply can't. I get that Lamar has won 2 MVPs and he's on pace to win his 3rd, and he's an incredible quarterback. But he can't do the things that Justin Herbert can do throwing the ball. He's just physically, he's not 6'6", 250 pounds, and does not have that arm that Herbert has. So I think it's a matter of Roman now getting more comfortable and being like, okay, now I see what we can do. We can do this, and we can set up the run by throwing. We don't have to set up the throw by running. And look what happened on that final drive, that final nail in the coffin. It's like, okay, now that we've beat them up, let's run it down their throats. I see some hands on hips. This is going to be our run drive. And bang, 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 16 yards popped, 7-yard touchdown, JK, game over, snatch the chain, take your souls, and let's get the heck on the plane and fly through a gnarly thunderstorm for an hour and a half and get home eventually. That's what it was, and I think that's kind of what it's a reminder for all the people that are like, oh, you got to throw, it's Herbert. It's like, no, see, that's what we're talking about. This is what's going to come. You're planting seeds, when you win that battle of physicality, that's when you run the ball and you take it and you hammer that point home.
And like you said, you guys got the storm. That's the lightning. You guys are the lightning bolts. And so on the way home, you got plenty of lightning and thunder, to say, okay, let me lightning you guys on the way home, push you guys even faster.
Exactly.
The trip was gnarly on the way back. It got a little rough.
Yeah, you know how that is, Lo. It's funny. I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, the charter's great, but when you fly commercial, there's a reason why they tell you can't take off yet. Like, we're going to let this pass. It's an hour delay. When you're on a charter, it's like, we getting out here? What are we doing? Yeah, I guess we're going to fly right into this thing, huh? And here we go. It's just really bouncing all over the place, and you deal with it. You've done it plenty of times.
I've been on those flights many times. Oh, Lord. Let me say my Hail Marys,
Exactly. May we live to play another week because I like the direction this team is going in. It was fine. But it is funny. So
no, it is. But I tell you, man, as I digress, just watching this team and, who's next? The Tennessee Titans. Team that that's been struggling but showing some signs.
2-win team.
Yeah, you have an opportunity to start adding these wins. You talked about it. We talked about it. How do you start stacking them? You let some games squandered, some games that could hurt you. We talked about some games that could come back and bite. But now, okay, this is that 3 in a row you're talking about. How do you stack these games? What are you looking for? How does this Chargers have a short-term memory and now say Tennessee's coming to town? How do we take care of business?
Well, I would say of all the teams on their schedule, this may be the one that they're the most familiar with because, man, have they taken a lot of players from these guys. So they clearly were watching a lot of Tennessee Titan defense because they went out and got Christian Fulton. They traded for Elijah Molden. I think they just let me see if I can get it because I want to make sure I get it right. They just put another Tennessee player that was put on there, that was put on waivers. They put, let me see, where is he? I know they just signed someone to their practice squad. Another Titan. So it's clear that they're paying attention to what the Titans are doing because they got a ton of their guys. And you know what? It makes sense because Mike Vrabel, you know how tough that defense is and good at every level. You think about, before they lost him, David Long at the linebacking core, Harold Landry, Justin Simmons, one of the best interior tackles in the league. Kevin Byard forever. Like, that's a team that has always played really good, sound defense. Yeah. And not a surprise that Christian Fulton's playing great corner for the Chargers. Elijah Molden should have 4 interceptions. He's got 3 already. Like, man, Joe Hortiz. What did Harbaugh call him? Chef Hortiz, because he's just got all the ingredients that he gets to cook with. Yeah. Talk about doing a bang-up job, man, of getting guys that you can drop in and fit the system, smart players, and you're seeing the fruit. Tier Tart, who was a Titan, right? And then went to Miami. And God bless Miami for saying, oh, no, we don't want you. We're good cutting you loose. Guys gets a block kick this week. Has a couple pressures. Just to make my point, they know the Titans. They are because look, here's the thing with the Titans, Lo. Offense, no bueno. 31 in passing, 27th in offense, 27th in points, 28th on third down. They've given away 17 balls, 31st in that category. Then you look at defense, number 1 in total D, number 1 in pass D, number 1 in yards per play, number 2 on third down. But it's weird because the good teams they've played, they've gotten hammered. I mean, hammered. Detroit hung 52 on them. The Bills scored 34 unanswered on them. So, like you said, it's a chance to stack and have Herbert build on what's now becoming a bit of an MVP conversation over these last 3. It's a chance to try to build on that and do what those 2 really good teams did and announce yourself as a really good team.
Yeah, it really is. And especially playing this one on home, you have a chance to get the Charger fans back behind you. You've been on the road. You found a way to win those games. You've been playing good football. And now, hey, go ahead and add up. Take care of what you're supposed to take care of. Go out here. Don't let this team stick around. Win the games you're supposed to win, but win them the way you're supposed to win them too. Don't wake up on Sunday and say, you know what? This is the Tennessee Titans. We're going to let them stick around first quarter, second quarter. No. Put your foot on the glass. This team wants to quit. They want to get out of here, get through the season. They know they have no chance to playoffs games. And it's hard. I've been on some teams. I played in Cincinnati when we won 2 games. And I'm telling you, it's hard mentally to get up when you're like, okay, you go down by 7, you're down by 14. You know in your heart you can't win this game. And you look around the sideline and guys are just looking around and you're looking, watching this, the body language, watching the way they play, how they walk on the field. Watch losing teams. Watch losing teams. Boom, something happens. They don't run on the field. They don't sprint on the field. Watch a good team. Offense gets a turn, defense gets a turn, offense sprints on the field. They can't wait. Watch a good team. Defense gives us the touchdown. Offense can't wait to get back on the field. If get a turnover, watch a bad defense. Offense throw an interception. Listen at guys. Watch them body language. You're going to feel they just compound. Good teams find a way to make it work the opposite way. So this is a Charger team that needs to say, look, let's come out smoking. Let's come out right away, and let's not make this game tough because, like you alluded to, Tennessee's got some great stats on defense, things they can do, but don't let them stick around. If you come out, you hit them in the mouth, you bloody them up early, and you jump on them, they'll quit. They'll turn the tail. They'll want to get out of here, but don't let a team like that stay around because then they get desperate. Then they say, okay, we might as well win it. We're sticking around. That's what I want the Chargers to do. Go out and squeeze them early.
Yes, similar to what they did to the Saints. It was 9-5 at half, and then they came out and just guns blazing second half and pulled away quickly and kind of put that thing to bed. Browns 17-3, and just kind of third quarter, like we said, 1 first down total, lost the time of possession in that frame, 11-4. And then fourth quarter comes and bang, they turn on the Jets and it's over. Love to see it. I think so much of it too is health for Herbert. And just you go through his last 3 and think about those 7 drops against Arizona. Still has a quarterback rating at 97 there, throws for 350 yards on 70% completion. Following week, quarterback rating against the Saints, 111, 2 tugs, no picks. And then last week, his best game of the year, QB rating of 126, 282 on 67%. Average 10.4 per attempt, pushing the ball downfield, 2 touchdowns. And then you look also and look at the long. And that's what tells you about this vertical passing game and how much this offense has changed. Coming into the going into the bye, their long completion was 38 yards. Then you get 1 for 41 to Rager, even with the fumble against Arizona. Then you get the 60 to Ladd, and then last week you get the 66 to Q. It's like, okay, now this is going to open up. You're going to start getting some vertical passing going. You can open up that run game. You can open up those crossers for Ladd. That dude is a magician, man. Once he gets the ball in his hands, he has got so much shake and wiggle, it's fun to watch, man. It is fun to watch him, starting to develop. Okay, I got a handful of games under my belt. Was kind of the rookie. I'm gonna lay low, and now it's like, no, man, give me them targets because here we go. He's on pace. I think he had 62 last week. He's on pace to get 100. He's on pace to get 1,000.
Right.
So it's been fun to watch, man. It's been really fun to watch his development, to watch Q take that next step. And I'm happy that Josh Palmer finally got that touchdown, get off the schneid there, because again, if he's healthy, it's a solid trio, man. It's a solid trio. And for those, I had a lot of people asking, what's the deal with Shark? Now, does he have to go on the IR for the rest of the year? Now, that's why they activated him, and he's probably not ready, but they had to activate him in order to not put him on, because the 21-day window would have been closed today, as a matter of fact, had they not made him active for that game. So the fact they made him active and then scratched him tells you that he's close, and we don't want to put him on IR for the rest of the year. So we'll sacrifice the 53rd man spot, make it his, make him inactive, but he was part of the active roster. So he could be available as early as this week. And again, I think that's for all the people that were scrambling for a wide receiver. You look at who move. What about Mike Williams? And yeah, I would have loved to see Mike back. Love Mike. At the same time, it's going well, man. He's developed some chemistry here and feels like it's going really well. The tight ends obviously didn't move, and we had already heard that. I think I hadn't mentioned that because we haven't talked since the Browns game, but we were talking to some people, and they were like, yeah, if they draft a guy and give him a second contract, that dude almost never leaves. Right. That's kind of, they're going to build around Njoku. And then in the case of Hunter Henry, you look since Drake May became the quarterback, and he's been his favorite target. So it's like, well, yeah, we don't want to trade a guy away who's our number 3 overall picks favorite target. Like, we got to develop Drake, and he's clearly the guy that he's leaning on. So that was never going to happen. And there's no point in adding someone, because Disley's playing pretty damn good football. And hopefully Hayden Hurst is getting more and more healthy and can be that guy that we wanted Hunter Henry or David Njoku to be.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's what they're doing. They you know, we're looking for the big splash in free agency or with the trade deadline. You see teams are jumping in, and it's good. Joe Hortiz, you see me, they'll do something, but it doesn't have to be splashy. It's just they are going to go about their business. They understand it's a process. Joe Hortiz has a great process, and they're not going to, you know, panic and say, oh, we got to jump in. We got to get in this, you know, give up a lot of draft capital. We have to, you know, trade or get rid of some. They don't want to disturb the ruckus. And sometimes you bring in a big name, do something too big of a splash. Sometimes you can mess up the chemistry of a team. So they understand what they have. And like you said, Mike Williams, a guy that's already been familiar, maybe wouldn't have been that type of distraction because he knows the guys, knows some of the, you know, the players. So I do understand kind of the concept of what they're doing. Joe Hortiz is saying, look, we're good. We're going to hold court. We're going to develop these young guys. They're going to be good enough if we have the patience. And right now, it's shown that they've had the patience, and now it's starting to. They've been cooking, and now that stew is starting to get cooked because you see these young guys and these young guys and veteran players that the Chargers brought in. They are starting to play complementary football on both sides of the ball, and now they're in the thick of things. The Chargers are in the thick of things in the AFC.
And when and remember, you know, it's just a number, and it's just something on a piece of paper when you describe it as, oh, they only traded a 5th rounder for Mike. Yeah, but let's not forget what the 5th rounders were this last year. Cam Hart and Tariq Still, you're starting corners right now, and they're playing pretty darn good. You want to trade either of those guys for Mike, you know, who's going to be on the team for 7 more weeks, and then he's free agent again? Like, and in the case of, oh, what about a 4th rounder for whatever? Well, Darius Davis was a 4th rounder. You want to get rid of that guy after that punt return ignited this offense? And you mentioned complimentary football. It's all 3 phases, man. You get that 53-yard punt return to set up the first touchdown, and you putting pressure on teams now. You know, now you got punters in their head, you know, that we got a guy that can turn on the Jets and take it all the way to the house, and that helps. So, and then you get a blocked field goal. Like, it was it was the best football game in terms of all 3 phases.
Yes.
Even with the missed field goals from Dicker, and he had never kicked in Cleveland before, and that's a tough spot for your first time to try to figure out. And, you know, he just missed that left upright by a sliver on the missed field goal. We got to figure out what the extra point thing is, man, because that's weird. You know, you can't be 58 out of 58 going into that game on field goals under 50 yards, and you got 3 missed extra points on your resume. It's just strange. Right. But I'm not worried about Cam Dicker at all. I mean, my gosh, the week before, he was perfect against the Saints. The week before, he made 5 field goals, including a 59-yarder against Arizona. So that's not a concern at all. But all 3 phases, JK's been great punting the ball. They've been great covering. Some great plays. I think who was it? Nick Neiman, who had a great play, came in for just a couple reps at linebacker and made a huge stop. Troy Dye had that 4th and 3 stop on Nick Chubb. I mean, Nick Chubb's a big, strong dude, and on a 4th and 3, Dye shoots a gap and tackles him with one freaking hand and drags him down to get the turnover on downs. Like, and it's the depth that they've created. It's been a lot of fun, And the one thing I don't want people to do, Lo, is everyone's like, oh boy, look at what you got coming. Bengals, Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs. Don't worry about that. Win the game against the Titans, and then we'll worry about a game that everybody's excited about because it got flexed into Sunday Night Football against the Bengals in the number 1 pick of the 2020 draft, Burrow, versus the number 6 pick of the 2020 draft, Justin Herbert. So we'll worry about that when it shows up at 5:20 p.m. Pacific. Until then, worry about the Titans, get to 6-3, and start feeling really good about how this thing is shaking out and a shot at the playoffs. And I can tell you right now, man, I would not want to play this team in the postseason, even if it's going to be a wild card team and you got to win 3 games on the road to get to the bowl. This is a team that's pretty darn buttoned up and does not make mistakes. Herbert leads the league right now, 6 consecutive games without an interception. That ties a Charger record. If he can go 1 more, that will set a Charger record for most consecutive games without an interception. They take care of the ball. They take the ball away. It's a great recipe, man. It really is a great formula for how to win football games.
No question. And like you said, worry about yourself. Just worry about yourself. Don't worry about don't get caught in. Don't start looking around. Who's on your schedule? It's what's up next. Right now, you got a Tennessee Titan team that you need to take advantage of, and the next following week, Cincinnati. You know that's going to be we talk about that but it's right now. Worry about yourself. Take care of who you have on the schedule. You can only play who's on your schedule, and that's the Tennessee Titans. Take care of business because, like you just alluded to, This Charger team is starting to roll, and they're starting to roll in the right direction and starting to roll downhill at the right time of the season. And you got your offense starting now to cook, to play complementary football with that defense. Because I'm telling you, you're playing championship football right now on defense. You know it. And the offense now is not far behind. It's starting to cook. And if you can get this offense to stay consistent, man, this can be a beautiful year. Beautiful year.
Yeah. And again, just speaking to the conference that you're in. I mean, I don't know what the heck Todd Bowles is thinking, not going for 2. It's like, I don't want to put the chance of the ball going into Patrick Mahomes' hands to start overtime on a coin toss. Just go for 2. You lose, you lose. But I'd rather take a shot against the Chiefs D from the 2-yard line than trust a coin toss. So, you know, they've looked vulnerable to some degree. Obviously the DeAndre Hopkins addition paid off immediately. 2 touchdown catches there. But you look at the Bills, they need a 61-yard field goal at zeros to get a victory over a 2-win Dolphin team. Like, to me, it's wide open. I mean, if you're the number 1 wild card, you're probably playing the Houston Texans in the first round. Texans have issues, man. They've got some issues right now. You know, they've got to figure some things out. They've got, you know, their wide receivers, Nico Collins out, Stephon Diggs out. CJ Stroud hasn't looked anywhere near the same. And you got a Steelers team that, you know, that's another team I don't want to face because we know how well they're coached, how physical they can be. But at the same time, you feel pretty good, you know, about how you played them in Pittsburgh without your tackles, with a hobbled Justin Herbert who had to leave in the second half, and it ends up being 20-10. So I'm comfortable, man, with what's available out there. If you can just keep your head down week after week, get to that 10 wins, which I think will put you in the tournament, and
stay healthy. Stay healthy. Stay healthy.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And hopefully we'll be talking about it next week, Lo. A 6-3 team with a Sunday night football game, followed by a Monday night football game, followed by what I'm hoping is not a flex into the 1 o'clock window Pacific time, because we're going to be all the way over in Atlanta. Just keep that baby at 10 a.m. Pacific so we can get home at a reasonable time. I'm so selfish with my logistics.
That's very selfish, Money. That's very selfish.
I was excited because I was worried it's going to be a Monday night football game. I was like, oh, man, the Monday nighter they got is no bueno. And we are one of a couple teams that could get in there. So, but because they flexed the Chargers out of their window to Sunday night, they're not going to do Sunday night, Monday night. That's not going to happen for the Chargers. But they very well could end up moving that into one of the primetime windows if need be. So exciting time. Congratulations to the young guys, to Ladd McConkey and to Cam Hart, to Tarheeb Still, and to all these guys that are playing so well as rookies, and obviously Joe Alt as well. Listen, I know Joe Alt got lifted off the ground and tossed with one hand by Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett's one of one. He's the unicorn. So don't get used to seeing that. He got Rashawn for 2 sacks and he got Joe for 1. But that's just a different dude, man. Different dude.
He's built different. He got the win. Hey, you know what? Joe and Rashard, they're going to be able to talk about that years to come. Like, oh, you remember that? He'll tell his kids about that one. Hey, you want to see his play? You got to. Sometimes you get the bear money. Sometimes the bear gets you.
Exactly right.
Joe's going to be fine. They win against, and that's just one of the times that the bear got them. So, hey, kudos to this Charger team. Let's go Bolts. Let's keep this thing rolling. Who's on deck? Tennessee Titans. Let's go take care of them.
Yep. And if you don't mind, everyone, just to wrap it up, leave a comment on the YouTube. We'd love to engage with you, even if you come back at me. Probably not come back at you after you come back at me. I'm just going to kind of respond once, and then that's where I'm going to end it, just so you know. But also, if you don't mind, rate and review on wherever you procure the podcast, because that helps the pod grow as well. Exciting times. Looking forward to getting back next week. If you're going to the game, would love to say hey to you. If you see me, holler. And we'll be back next week here on Bleav in Chargers.
Bolt up.